Hello, fourth year students. Today's lecture in poetry is about Don't Go Gentle into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas, another poet from the modern age, from the modern era, and he is one of the famous ones actually, and we are going to, as usual, start with something about the poem and the poet in order to help us understand its meaning. So who's Dylan Thomas? Dylan Thomas is a Welsh poet, by the way. He's from Wales. He was born in 1914 and died 1953, which means that he wasn't really old when he died. Actually, he was 39. This poem, Don't Go Gentle into That Good Night, was written sometime in the late 1940s and early 1950s. There was this period of time in which Dylan Thomas wrote some poems. I guess not some poems, I would say a huge number of poems, but he didn't publish them until a certain time, I think in the late, not in the late, sorry, in the final years of his life, and it was in the early 50s. So it could possibly be influenced by the Second World War. I mean, the writing of these poems, the themes, the subjects he was discussing in these poems was somehow affected by this huge event that was taking place in those years. And of course, the aftermath. We all know that such great events like wars, not only in the time they are happening, they affect society. They also has some kind of effect that extends even years and years after they end. So it is believed that it was inspired by Thomas's terminally ill father, who died in the late 1952. Actually, Dylan Thomas's father was suffering from illness, and it seems that he was dying. So this situation, this life experience, has inspired some belief that actually this is the reason, because he mentions his father in the poem. He mentions his father. So this is the inspiration behind this poem. If we speak a little bit about the form of the poem, which is really important here, it is written as a villanelle. What is a villanelle? Sorry, it is an old form from the 17th century, and its origin is French, by the way. It's a French form of poetry, but the most famous villanelles were written in English. You can find the finest examples of villanelles in English poetry, and this is one of them actually. This is maybe the most famous of them. What makes this form different or special? It has two refrains and two repeating rhymes. refrain. What do you mean by refrain? refrain that إذا سامعين باللغة العربية عندنا الشعر شيء اسمه اللازمة. اللازمة هو مقطع مكرر في القصيدة، يعني ممكن الشاعر يقول فد مقطع معين بعدين يرجع هذين البيتين يكررهن، مقطع جديد بعدين يكرر هاي الأبيات اللي تكرر يعني بعد نهاية كل مقطع يسموها refrain، اللازمة يسموها. And two repeating rhymes. When it comes to rhymes, actually there are two main rhymes that are repeated all over the poem. So you have to pay attention to the form as you are reading. Actually, it's very clear that the poem is following a certain fixed structure. So it is very noticeable in the first look at the poem. Okay, but it has a purpose, and we are going to see how does it help in assisting in showing the meaning, the main idea of the poem. So here the poem, the text. Don't go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn a rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Notice here what I have done here is the lines that are repeated, I have given them this color. Here we have this line which is repeated here, and it is repeated here again, and in the last sorry, in the last section also it is repeated again, and you have also this line. You see, it's going also to be repeated. So I wanted you to pay attention to the repetition, how it happens, after which lines, after which sections exactly. Don't go gentle into that good night. Notice this is a really interesting beginning for the poem, because he's directly stating us, putting us in a certain context. He's calling, or maybe he's talking to someone, right? This way of speaking, it is directed to someone. He's addressing someone, and he's telling them, don't go gentle, don't go. You see, if we stop here, don't go. He's maybe he's concerned, right? He's concerned that this person is going and he doesn't want them to go. Okay, this is what we can understand from the beginning, or this is what we feel the poet is trying to say here. And notice the word gentle, gentle here. Gentle means that this going or this movement is happening in a way that is really what? Peaceful, right? Into that good night. What is this good night? Actually, the good night here is a metaphor for death. And this is really interesting to describe death as good night. See, maybe we are used to see that poets usually speak about death in a negative language. But here, sorry, it seems that death is not the problem. It's happening anyway, right? It's happening. And night, why night? Because maybe we all have this idea that death is something unknown to us. It is dark, just like darkness. When you are surrounded by darkness, you are surrounded by the unknown. So it feels like this, that death is some kind of night. You are going through this night. But here the poet is saying good night. It is a good one. Old age, and how do you know whom he is addressing? He's addressing old people, the old ones, because they are closer to death. You see, old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And here the dying of the light again is also a reference to death. The dying of the light. When light is gone, life is over, and this is death. But notice the invitation here, if we can call it invitation, the calling. What is he calling them to do, the old people? Don't surrender, fight. Fight against death. Don't just go peacefully into death. Don't go gentle. Do something before that. Try to fight. Try to attach yourself to life as long as you are able to. Don't surrender. Rage, rage. Notice this word, rage, and he repeated 2 times. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Do something. You see? Though wise men, at their end, no dark is right. Now he's going to give us each, in each stanza, pay attention. Each one of them, he's going to mention some kind of man. يعني كل مقطع راح يعطينا يعني أنواع الرجال حسب صفاتهم يعني. So here he's mentioning which type? Wise men. You see? العقلاء, الحكماء. Sorry, at their end, no dark is right. All of us know death is inevitable. Death is coming to all of us. This is something we all know. And wise people know it best. Wise men. Because their words had forked no lightning. They don't go gentle into that good night. You see, this is really interesting. If you read it like this, it is enjambment. تعرفون enjambment اللي هو السطر الجملة ما ينهيها الشاعر بنفس السطر، يقطعها يخليك تقرأ اللي ورا يلا تقدر تكمل. This is to make you continue reading. You see, when he says, because their words had forked no lightning, they don't go gentle into that good night. I read it like this, okay? Which means what? Although these wise people, they know that death is coming, They know dark is coming, but what makes them refuse to go, or maybe some, they have this attitude towards the idea, is that their wise words, the things, the good things they teach others, the good things they say, let's say words hasn't, haven't made the influence they wish they should be doing to people. Still they have more to say. Okay, notice here this expression, they should not leave, he's calling them, they should not leave before their words produce some effect. And this effect here is described metaphorically as what? Lightning. As lightning. As if their words are going to impose a huge or great effect on people, and they still haven't done this. So if they haven't done this yet, they shouldn't be going. Don't go to death before you do something. Okay, this is a really let's say different perspective of death, which is really interesting, I think. Now we see the good men. What about the good men? The last wave by. The last wave here also is a reference to death, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. You see, good ones, those good people who have all the time they do good things to people, to other people, seeing the final stage here, wave of their lives, those who believe that even the small actions can make a difference in life. You see this kind of people who all the time seek to be good to others, to perform good actions, because they know that the effect of these good actions is really huge and it makes difference in their lives and also in people's life. Even those people, you see, they are going to die sometime. This is what we know. But what's the relation between this quality they have and death? Notice here, they know they are dying, but they resist the coming of death. By what? Because of what? Because they think that still they haven't done, or maybe there are certain actions they should be doing. Still they have this ability. They want to do more things that could make difference in life. So because of that, what they should be doing? Rage against the dying of the light. As long as you feel like this, you feel that you are still can do good things in life, don't go just like this to death. Continue doing. Rage against death because you want to do good things. Still you have things to do. See, don't give up easily. Sorry. Wild man, notice here, this is another kind, which maybe it seems a bit different from the good man or the wise man. Wild man, who are these wild men? Who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieve it on its way. Even those people who are really wild, they have spent their life going there, doing this, going through adventures in life. They are all the time rushing and trying to make the most of life. شايفين هذا طبيعة الناس اللي عندهم يعني حياة مغامرات، يريد يمشي يطلع يسافر ما أعرف يخوض أشياء جديدة. حتى هذا النوع من الناس يمكن يعني يختلف عن ذولاك السابقين، إنه هو مثلا ما عنده هاي الحياة الهادئة خلينا نقول أو العاقلة، أو لا، هذا يريد ينطلق يمشي. حتى هذول اللي هو هنا تلاحظون يوصفهم wild man. See, who would have spent their lives enjoying and adventuring. Such people, even those people, they understand and know that death is coming to them. They are caught and sang the sun in flight. They realize that even they must die. However, they should not accept it peacefully. هذول يمكن حتى أكثر شيء ممكن ما يقبلون الموت. You see, what should they be doing? Don't go gentle into that good night. Even you, wild people. Maybe you have forgotten yourself. Maybe you haven't done anything else in life but going here, going there, adventuring. But still, if you feel yourself, you have more to do, you have more things to achieve, you have more places you want to go to, don't go gently or easily to death. Continue fighting. You see? Here again, grave man, grave man, another kind of man, near death, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes should blaze like meteors and be gay, rage, rage against the dying of the light. Who are those grave men? Grave men means those who are very serious people. You see? And also when they become close to death, even those kind of people, when they become close to death, what he means by grave, actually he means those people who have become so serious, and maybe there's kind of sadness that has brought them into this state. Some sad experiences in life, maybe it has turned them into kind of very serious people. You see? Sorry. Even those people, and one might think that grave men, those who are serious and sad like this, they should be maybe looking forward to death, right? But he says no, even this type of man, the grave man, what do they have? They also, their eyes are failing, but there still exists in them a passion for living. Blaze, notice here the use of this image. Blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. You see, who see who see with blinding sight. They are not looking at life the same way, but still, even with that, their eyes should be blazing. They should be filled with life and passion. They should rage, rage against the dying of the light. Even those people, they should be what? Not submitting to death. They should resist death. Okay? And finally, here he reaches to this one. And you, my father. This is the point. He's talking to his father. And you, my father, there on the sad height. Maybe he's describing the illness of his father, the stage that his father has reached to, as a sad height. Maybe after this sad height, he's going to die, right? Even you, my father, because you are close to death, curse, bless, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do something. Don't just go there into death. What, even if you curse, even if you bless, notice these are two very contrastive words, curse and bless. You see, he's addressing his dying father. Don't just surrender peacefully to death. Gift me and curse me with your passion. Sorry, here we have to add your passions and fight for life. Don't go just like this. We all know that death is coming. And of course, after whatever things you do in life, death is coming. Right? You are an old, sick person. You are suffering from certain illness. But even with that, my father, don't just peacefully go. Fight for your life. Life is really precious. Okay, this is what he's called. And notice here, finally, what did he do? Don't go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The two lines, the refrains that are repeated all over the poem, now he is repeating them both when he's talking to his father. Okay, so what do you understand from this poem, which I think is a very, very real, interesting and beautiful poem? So the speaker, if you realize this, or if you maybe notice this, the speaker knows that death is inevitable. this is something all of us know. يعني كل واحد ما يعرف إنه الموت حتمي. موت مسألة حتمية. موت أكيد فشي راح يعني يصير. أو إحنا شلون بالعراقي نقول أول تالي، أولا وأخيرا يعني. Yet he believes that it does not mean that people should surrender to it and not fight for life. يعني هاي الحقيقة المفروض ما تمنع الناس من إنهم يحاربون من أجل الحياة. If you think death is inevitable, then you should also be thinking equally that life deserves to be lived fully. مثل ما الموت حق، الحياة حق أيضا. And life is precious. And you should fight for it. Keep fighting to the last breath. Don't just surrender like this. Being anxious for his father's impending death. And طبعا هذا بسبب إذا تلاحظون القصيدة تجسد نوع من القلق، قلق لفقدان هذا الشخص، فقدان هنا طبعا شخصية الأب. His father, he's very anxious and worried about his father's death. And we can think about this poem as a solace for him. Maybe he's trying to console himself. يعني احنا نقول يعزي نفسه بهذا الكلام. He tries to show how various people who have lived their lives in different manners all should fight and not give in to death so easily. Sorry. كأنما يحاول يشجع أبوه، يقول له شوف كل هذول الناس على اختلاف صفاتهم. The wise, the grave, the wild, the good. All of them, no matter what, they all fight. So why don't you do the same? Okay? The speaker is not desperate. This is really important. Do you feel the tone of speech is despair? يعني هل الشاعر يائس؟ هل هذا الكلام من اليأس? No, I don't think so. Actually, it doesn't feel like this. نبرة الكلام ما تدل على اليأس. He even calls death good night. يعني شوف المصطلحات العبارات يستخدم good night. He's talking about death in we can say in positive terms, and this is unusual, by the way. We usually find in poetry poets speaking about death, maybe the fear of death, the things that could happen after death, how death takes the loved ones, how death is something really paralyzes life maybe. So all the time we feel that death is mentioned in a negative way, maybe. Okay, some negative serious way, but here in this poem it seems to be something natural, good, natural. It's happening anyway. So instead of referring to it as some mysterious or frightening thing, he's calling it good night. This shows that he's not denying the coming of death. This is not يعني مرات الناس يحجون عن الموت بطريقة استنكارية، به نوع من يعني denial. Okay? But one should not peacefully give in to it. There must be resistance and fight. Because life is equally as important as death, or as truthful and real as death. الحياة لا تقل حقيقة عن الموت. Okay? So why should you give in like this? You should fight for it. Life is real and precious. One must always choose life. وهذا الطبيعي. يقول لك الإنسان لازم يختار الحياة مو الموت، ولا يستسلم، وحتى آخر نفس لازم يبقى يستمر شنو؟ يختار الحياة. You should always choose life. The use of the villanelle, and here I want you to pay attention. What's the importance of writing about this subject using a structure which is fixed, the villanelle? It helps the poet introduce the idea of not giving up to death. How? This form allows for the repetition of certain lines. لاحظوا هاي اللاينز اللي هنا ذكرت هاي. Don't go gentle. كم مرة تعاد. هذا الفورم الفينالن، لأن هو يعني القاعدة شو تقول إذا تريد تستخدمها؟ إنه لازم تكرر. أكو lines refrains لازم تتكرر. They should be repeated. These lines should be repeated. So he wanted to يعني to insist and to keep repeating these words that يعني exactly. Don't go gentle. Rage rage. شايفين من تريد انت تحط شخص على شيء ضلك ساعة تعيد. فلما يستخدم هذا الفورم اللي بيه هو اصلا من مكوناته يعني انه الاعادة، لازم تعيد اسطر معينة. هاي الاسطر المعينة اللي هو دا يعيدها هي الاسطر اللي يدعو بها الى عدم الاستسلام. Don't go gentle. rage rage. لاحظ، فهذا الشكل من القصائد يساعده أكثر على أنه يوصل هذا الشيء. It gives this feeling. Okay, and it emphasizes the idea in them. وطبعا احنا نعرف التكرار repetition is for emphasis. It helps in what? In reassuring, emphasizing the point, the idea, by keeping this repetition. Okay, and some say that actually يعني بعض اللي يفسرون القصيدة يقولون إنه احتمال هاي التعداد، هاي الأنواع wise man، العفو بهذا الترتيب wise man, good man, wild man, grave man. This is the stages of his father's life, because his father, by the way, Thomas's father was a soldier in war. يعني عنده تجربة بالحرب. sorry. فممكن يعني ممكن يكون هذا التسلسل بهذه الطريقة هو محاولة لذكر هاي stages of life of his father. Maybe his father started as a wise man, he was good, and then he was wild because he went to war and he fought. And then after the experience of war, experience of war is a really heavy one. So maybe he has become sorry at the end, so serious and sad because of that. But in the final stages of his life, he wanted him to look at this experience in a good way, and also not to resist to resist death, and to choose life. Don't just peacefully accept or reconcile with the idea of death. And so this is the whole thing about this poem. I hope it was clear for you. See you in next videos soon.